Okay, we are back. Let's go ahead and continue. Let's look at arithmetic operators. Okay, so from the example we have done in IntelliJ, we've already defined the arithmetic operator, one of them, which is the plus. We have the subtraction, the addition, the subtraction, the multiplication, and division, and also the modulo or the modulus operand, which is this one that looks like percentage. Okay, so we can try that out and see how to use each of these and how they work for us. And then we also have, we refer to them as basic operators. These are theories. I'm more concerned about the practical, but these are basic operators. There are some that we call the prefix and the postfix operations or operators. And then we have the other ones we call the compound assignment operators. So we'll quickly take a look at how each one of these applies. So in our project, or in what we're working on, we have already used one of them, which is addition. The other one is subtraction. For multiplication, you do this. And for division, you use the slash, okay, to perform division. And for the modulo, or the modulus, what this one does is to get you the remainder. So when you make a division, the remainder is what will be stored in the result. So that's what they use the modulus for. So let's not talk too much about that. We cannot take that on our own. Okay, so now let me just copy all this. So I hope that as I'm doing it, you can probably also split your screen too, the way I splitted mine, and be able to, cannot edit. Why is it in read only? Because I've left it for so long. Okay. So let's see, can I type? Is there any other person having this problem? Else I'll just continue with IntelliJ. Do we have this problem? You can't type after a while. I can just start a new repo then. Java.
I had to start all over again. So
yes. Yeah, sorry, that's what you get when you're using a free tool. So best thing for you is to have what's it called?
IntelliJ.
ID. Yes. Okay, let's go on. We are supposed to look at we talked about the basic operators, which are the plus, minus, subtraction, and this. Then we talked about the prefix and the postfix. So, for example,
excuse me, sir, before you proceed.
Yeah, this prefix and postfix.
A little question, sir.
Yeah, question. Go ahead.
If you go back to your code,
okay,
in IntelliJ,
yeah,
if you can share that code.
Yeah. Can
share
I'm not
screen.
sharing.
I can. No, just share that screen. I want to ask a question. There's a string that is up there that is under public static void string with a square bracket argument. And then there's a string when we are looking at the data types.
This.
Yes.
Okay.
What's the difference and what's the functionality of the top one? The one at the top, I noticed that it just appears all the time. Why should we have
why
that?
Is it there? Yes. Okay. Yeah. It's quite simple. This one is a data type, right? String, and it's the same thing as this. But because we have this, it becomes an array. Okay. So an array is an array of strings. That's what it is. Okay. When you have when you put that this thing inside of it. Okay. So now for example, let me just do a simple example for you. We've not gotten to array, but let's try and see if we can. Yeah. So now you can have an array list, okay, of a string. So let's say I have, let me add this string here. Let's say I have a string, and I have another string. So these are two different strings, right? Two different things, okay? But if I declare a string array, I can add these strings into it, okay? By saying ABC dot, you see? So let's see if we have the size. Does this one have size? Okay, let me define a list. I think, let's do define a list of string. Let's make this, for example, this one will be better. ABC. So it's a new array. So when you are working in IntelliJ and you get this red line, you can do Alt Enter, and it will import something for you. Sorry, I'm not sure whether the first instructor talks about import statements. Import statement is used to import some set of libraries into your application. For example, I want to use a list. We have not gotten here, but I just want to use this as an example. I want to use a list, and the program is saying that I don't have access to use list because list is supposed to be used somewhere else. So I can go and import the library where list is being used, or where list is created, so that I can have access to it in my application. So now, if I now want to add and say ABC dot add, I want to add string to it. I can add first word, which is a string. There's the first word. Yes, I can add it, and this, and add another first word. Add another one. What's the other one? Test. Okay. So, but when we get to string arrays, I will explain better. But what I'm trying to explain is that whenever you see this, it's an array, right? It can take more than one value. Okay, just like what I've explained with this string, list of strings. Okay, it can take more than one value, but this one is just an ordinary value, just where you just put your values. So now this ABC and test and first word, they are different because this is an array of strings and this is just a string. I've gotten you confused more, right?
Well, that's the beginning of understanding.
No, let me explain it again. Okay, let me explain it again. Your question is that why do we have this string up here and why do we have this string down here? And what's the difference, right? So to explain that, I said this is an array, and that means an array is a list of items, either list of string, list of integers, list of Boolean, and all that, depending on whatever you make it of. That's what an array is, but we've not got into arrays. So, but this is just a data type for a named memory location. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes, sir.
So just take that for now, okay? Because you've made me to start writing all that code of what we've not got into.
Sorry, sir.
No problem. It will just confuse people more for now. Okay, but let's go on. Just know that this is an array, especially when you see this, and then this is just a normal data type that we use. Okay, but they are in representation is the same thing in memory. Just that what you are saying is that keep 10 cells for different 10 types of strings. Okay, so the first cell will be a string, the second cell will be a string, the third cell will be a string, but all of them, all those 10 cells, they are an array of these. We can now name the 10 cells as a particular name because it's an array of other strings. Okay. There's no picture to show this, but when we get to arrays, you'll understand better.
Thank you.
So let's move on to this. We can just try out. Okay, so this is just telling us that there are some basic calculations that you want to do that is not available. Like for example, when you want to do the raised to power 10, raised to power 20, or you want to do square root of a number, okay? So some of them are not available. So for you to be able to use them, you need to import a library. And the library that will import, you can see, these are your import libraries. So one of the libraries that we have in Java is the math library. Okay, immediately you type math, you can see it's telling you that it's available in java.lang library. So you say math dot, if it's square root you want to do, if it's raised to power you want to do, and all that. So, and you follow the syntax. For example, if I want to do 2 raised to power 4 or 4 raised to power 2, I do this and I say, what number do you want to raise to power? I want to raise 4 to the power of what? The power of 2. That's how to use that. And I can just print out the result directly. So we must understand how to use this also. Let me remove all these array lists and the rest. And clear this guy. You don't need to clear it, but let's just clear it.
Excuse me, I didn't quite get how you import
Okay,
the
so
from JavaScript,
yeah,
from Java, because we don't know the path that you used. I only saw that you wrote maths and started to do the operation.
Okay, if you are using this what's it called? This online here, let's copy and paste this there and see what it brings up for us. Let's run it. And that's going to throw an error. Okay, so automatically, I think this site it's importing something for you internally, and so it's not showing it here. But here, once you enter, let me remove all this now. Let me remove all these imports. And do, when I did math, okay, so it's because I'm using IntelliJ, it has a lot of Intellisense. So once I click on it, before it was not showing, it wasn't showing, it was showing red. But when you click on it, whatever it needs to import for you or whatever it needs to do, it will have done it. For example, when I did list too, okay, when I wanted to use list and say string, it tells you that list of, when I was using list, it showed me something in list before it now allowed it to be shown, okay? So, but it's because I've used it before now, it's not complaining about it again. Okay, so, but it's normally supposed to import Java dot whatever is, okay, dot math. That is the library where we have this math into. And then we have this one too in another library, you can see. So that is how it is imported. But normally you don't need to bother yourself about it in IntelliJ. So once you know what you want to use, immediately I'm typing math. Immediately I'm typing math, it will give me Intellisense. Or let's say I'm typing, it's already telling me that this thing is available in this library. So if it's going to need it or it wants to add it up here, just click on it, it will do the work for you by itself. But in case it's not doing the work, like for example, let me move up and do something. Let's do this. Let's say this, which other library would be needed? Okay, let's use our list, for example, again. List of integer, not integer. I can't think of a value that it's going to import again. Okay, yeah, see this one. Let's say I do this, I delete this imported stuff. Array list. Can you see it is in red? Okay, so IntelliJ, there's a shortcut. It's either you move your mouse on it and click import class, or you right click on it and just do Alt Enter. So it will import the class for you immediately. So that's why I said you don't need to bother yourself much about those imports, because when you are writing your code, it will show it in red. So once it's showing it in red, all you have to do is to move your mouse on it and see what the problem is. Read this statement. So this is telling you, do this to resolve the problem. So if you think that is the best thing you need to do, just go ahead and it will import it for you. So you continue working the way you want to work. Do you understand? So that's how to import. But if you are sure of what you want to import, the keyword is just import, then you type in what you want to import. But most of the time, this Intellisense would generate it for you. Okay, so let's see whether it will do the same thing here.
Every time import.
What's your question?
Question was, does it mean anytime you make this sort of operation or something from Java or elsewhere, it is right up there that something has been imported, like what happened now?
Okay, so now
after doing it, then it was registered there up. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So
did you get my question?
I didn't get it quite right.
My question was,
yes,
like you said, it popped up when you are using IntelliJ, and when you imported that thing from Java, automatically it came up there so that something was imported. So my question was, does it mean anytime you make that kind of operation, then it will be registered like that? Maybe first importation, second importation, third importation, just be registering there like import Java.
Yes.
That's
yes.
the array list.
Yes.
Okay, that was the question.
Yeah, that's what happened. It will just be importing it for you. Now, when it imports it and you see it in this color graded out, it means that there's no reference to it in your program. So you might as well do what? Just delete it. Do you understand? But once it's not graded out, then it means that it's being used in your application. Let me show you some projects where we have a lot of imports. Let's just use one for example. Look into data source. Okay, so you can see there are a lot of things that will be imported. So once you are using them, it will be adding it up for you.
Okay.
Do you understand? Automatically. So, but if it can't find anyone automatically, then you still see your stuff will be in red. It will show red. So you need to resolve and look for what you need to import for it to work properly for you at that point. Okay. So that's the explanation to that. Yeah. So any other question before we go on? Okay, so I just mentioned briefly the math function and how it's being used, so that in case you say that you can't find the square root or you can't find the this, so there's a math function that you can use, and this is how to use the add, subtraction. These are the basic ones, the modulo and the rest of them. This table shows the operations in floating point numbers and the answer and examples. 13 divided by 5. We should have 2, right? The remainder is 3. So this modulo is used for remainder. And the other ones, we know what it is. So when we talk about postfix and prefix, prefix is an operator that you put in front of your variable or of your value. okay? And postfix is the one that appears after. Okay, so if you look at the example given on the screen, we initialized a variable. Remember, when I talk, there are some terms now when you begin to program, there are some terms you'll be using, like initialization. So there's a difference between declaration and initialization. You can declare a variable, but not initialize it. When you say initialize, that means, for example, I hope you can see both of my screens. So I say int my var. I can just put semicolon there and move on. Okay, so let's follow the camel case, my var, and move on. I have declared this variable, my val, as an integer, but I have not initialized it. So if I should put 10 in front of it now, equals to 10, then I have initialized my variable. So when I'm using some words, you should know the difference. So when I say I have initialized my variable, or when I'm initializing a variable, this is what I mean. I've assigned a value. So that my value is an empty box, but now I've assigned 10 into it. Okay. So now when I assign 10 into this value, I can print out and just use a postfix to either add a number to it or to do what? Subtract the number to it. So we have one operator calls the plus plus and the minus minus for increment and for decrement. So to just increase your variable by 1, or when you use the minus minus, it decreases your variable automatically by 1. So the example given below says that, for example, I have 10. Let me copy and paste this other guy. Okay. So I have this as 10. So when I use my var, you can also try this out on your screen. I use my var plus plus. What will be printed will be 6 because, sorry, I said 6, will be 11 because my val is what? 10. When I now put plus plus in front of it, that means I'm saying print 10 and add 1 to it before printing. Okay, so that will give me 11. But the other one, if I put minus minus my var, I'm sure it is 9 that will be printed. So let's try that out. Is it okay to remove all these things out so that we can have enough space? We have like 20 minutes more. Let's take this out. Okay. Okay, so now this is showing 11. Let's see what this will show. Okay, yeah. Do you know what happened here? Can somebody look at this and explain what happened here? I'm having 10, I'm having 11 and 10. Can somebody explain what happens here to me? Yes, I know what happened. I want to explain, but I think you people are smarter than me. Let's see.
It went up by 1. The initialized value went up by 1 to 11. And then the next statement subtracted the 1, so we ended up with 10.
Yes, thank you very much. That was very smart. So that's what happened. So it went up by 1, so it became 11. So by the time we are subtracting, it's now removing 1 from the 11. So that's why we have 10 back. So let's see what this one will give us. We want to subtract 1, so we'll have 9 here. So at the end of the day, this should give us 10. And from 10, we are trying to subtract again. We should have 9 back. Let's see if I'm correct. Okay, perfect. So now we understand how postfix and prefix works. Okay, we can take a look at that. Let's move on. We're just trying to familiarize ourselves with the syntax and the language itself, because all these things are needed. By the time you now start writing core programs, you just remember, okay, I want to deduct 1 automatically. I can use a postfix minus minus. I want to add 1. I can use a postfix plus plus to it. Okay, then we talk about compound assignment. Compound assignment has to do with you using 2 operators together. You are combining 2 operators together. And so the result of the left-hand side will be assigned to the right-hand side. So for example, I want to do I did int 10, and I now want to say my val equals to my val minus 1. Okay, so if I'm printing this out, let me remove the minus minus. If I'm to print this out, what would the result give me? We all know what the result will be. Nine, yeah, because I'm deducting 1 from my val. So instead of doing that, this compound operator is telling us that we can do this. My val minus equals to let's say, should we put 1 or what should we put there? Should we still deduct 1 from it? Let's deduct our 1 from it. Yes. So let's just deduct our 1 from it and see. But I'm removing this statement because this is what I want to see now. So we should still get what? 9. So that is what this part is explaining. And also you can use it for division. You can use subtraction and all that. So using or combining more than one operator, more than one operator at a time, it's what compound assignment is all about. So we have the plus, the minus, the multiplication, the division, and the modulo. And that is what this part is explaining. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so operator precedence. So usually in programming, we talk about how does the compiler, this is Java as the compiler, how does the compiler knows which calculations to do before another? For example, if I decide to say 10 plus 5 times 7 divided by 12. What other thing? Minus 13. Okay, I've decided to assign all this. Mathematically, I don't know what this will give me. I'm just using sample values. So let's say I've decided to do all this. So how do we know the ones that will be done before? Is this compiler going to say, okay, let's start from here. 10 plus 5 will give us 15. 15 times 7, whatever it gives us, it will now divide it by 12. Whatever it gives us, it will now say minus 13 out of it. Is that how it's going to do it? Or does it have another or better way of doing it? That is what operator precedence is talking about. So operator precedence is saying that if in this case I have postfix operations, like I have minus minus in this place or anywhere, that is what will be done first in this expression. Followed by, postfix is at the back, prefix is in the front. So followed by the prefix, then it's going to do multiplication first. So probably this multiplication will happen first before it now do addition and subtraction. So, but for you to force the hand of the compiler to do something first, I can put it in brackets. So if I put it like this, automatically, before it does multiplication, you know, multiplication comes before addition and subtraction. It will go and do this first before it now comes back here. So operator precedence just talk about the order at which the compiler executes operators and perform its operations. So, and it's saying that nested parentheses is evaluated from inside out. So in case I have maybe in here I now have times another bracket, 10 plus 2 plus 3. So what it's saying is that this is a nested bracket. This bracket will be done first before this outer bracket, before it now does multiplication, before it now does division and addition. So that's how the operator or the compiler operates. We have less than 9 minutes. So in case it goes off from now, you should join back again and we'll do another 20 minutes, then we end the lecture. type conversion. I already talked about this when I was trying to convert something from a float to an integer, if you remember. So this one is talking about we trying to convert something from integer to long. And we know the difference between integer and long. Long has more as specified in, I think I explained that here. Yes, it's a 64 bit. The integer is 32 bit, and this can take more values from minus, maybe this is billions or something to this, okay? And so integer can take shorter values from here to here. So that's, but when you want to convert from one type to another, let's say you want to save an integer into a long, or a long into an integer, definitely you need to do type conversion. And to convert it, it's as simple as the way I explained it before. So you just use what? This bracket in front of your conversion. So we have it here. So I don't need to type it again. Or do you want me to type it and do it? I think I did it the other time. So let's move on to the next one so that we can cover a lot of other things. Explicit type conversion, blah, blah, blah. Let's do that. Okay, so this will take us to the module 3. Now we've learned how to do our addition, subtraction, multiplication, and the rest. So let's quickly build our so that we don't just work, and there's nothing to show for. Let's build our calculator. Okay. This one thing that is very important for us to note is the structure of Java programming language or Java syntax. We have a public class, calculate. This is the class we are working in from. Okay, we have calculate. It has opening braces and closing braces. Very important. Then inside it, we have a method called public static. It has what? Opening and closing. So in case you miss out the closing, there will be an error. You must note these things, right? Now, inside the class, I can have another method. I can call it private static. I'm using static because I don't want to be instantiating an object from the class. So let's use static void. Void means that it's not going to return anything. It has no return type. When I say it has no return type, it means that because when you call a method, it's meant to perform a particular task and give you the value back. So now, if it's performing the task and not giving you the value back, then that means it's just performing the task. Okay, so that's what we call void. So I would say add and have opening and closing brackets. Very important. Parentheses, sorry. This is a bracket, this is a parenthesis. You must know the difference. Okay, so it will accept integer value of a, comma, int b. Okay, there's something I forgot to mention. You can actually create a variable like this, int a is equals to 5, comma, b is equals to 6 or 7, and then end your statement without having to, instead of saying a equals to 5, stop the statement, then say int b equals to 7, stop the statement. So these two are the same. Just note that you put a comma in between. Okay, so it depends on what you want to do. Maybe you want to minimize lines. You don't want to type too much like this. You can use this format. That's just by the way. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is that if you notice inside this class, I have the first method. I'm creating another second method, and I'm calling it private. I might change it later to public because when we want to talk about access modifiers, maybe the last time I talked about it, that's where we have this. Public means that it can be seen everywhere, all over this project. Private means that it can only be used in this class. Okay, that means this guy can call this. Okay, but some other class somewhere that we're going to define later cannot call this guy. Okay, so that's the private therefore. So I'll just say, because really I need to return a value. So let's do, I'm returning an integer. So let's not make it void. I'll say return, let's just return A plus B. That's our addition. Okay, nothing more. So instead of typing everything all over again, I will now copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. So I have 4 methods. This one will be subtract. This should be divide. This should be multiply. Okay, so I have, you use your so I've defined all this, and then in my main method I can now say I can say int first number. Remember your camel case is equal to 45. Int second to 60. So I can call each of these functions now or methods. I can call add, pass the value. I can call subtract, pass the value. I can call, sorry, you have to stop each statement. I can call divide. And the last one, multiple. Let me use multiply. The name doesn't matter. I'm going to just get it. Okay. So inside this, I can pass the values A and B, which is first number, second number. Okay. I'm going to explain what these are. Okay. So I can pass first number and second number into each one of them, and it will. Okay, we have less than 1 minute. In case this goes off, you should just try and join back. There's something important we want to do after this. Now we are coding the number, we are defining variables here just to pass into it. But at the end of the day, what we want to do is that we want the user to supply the number himself. Like the user should be able to type, maybe he wants to put 55 or he wants to put 75, and not us telling or hard coding the number for the user. That's what we will achieve later. But we'll do that after this, when we come back in the next meeting. So since this is what we want to do, this is what we are doing for now. So we can use our system.out